Marcus Whitmore adjusted his Armani suit as he stepped out of his black Bentley onto the rain-soaked streets of downtown Chicago. At 35, he was worth more money than most people could count in a lifetime, yet tonight, something felt hollow inside his chest. The string of failed relationships, each ending with the painful realization that women only saw his bank account, had left him cynical about love. His latest breakup, just 3 days ago, had been the final straw, catching his fiancée selling stories about their private life to tabloids for money. The cold December wind whipped around him as he walked, seeking solace in the anonymity of the crowded streets. That's when he saw her, a young woman, maybe 22, sitting on a cardboard mat outside a closed coffee shop. Her clothes were worn but clean, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. What struck him wasn't her obvious poverty, but the way she was carefully dividing a small sandwich into 3 pieces, saving 2 portions in a plastic bag for later. If this story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to Billionaire in Love for more inspiring stories that will change how you see the world. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories matter to us. Maya Chen had been living on the streets for 6 months, ever since her mother's cancer treatments had drained their savings and she'd aged out of foster care. Despite everything, she maintained a quiet dignity that caught Marcus's attention. As he approached, he noticed she was reading a battered copy of Pride and Prejudice by the dim light of a street lamp. "Excuse me," Marcus said softly, not wanting to startle her. Maya looked up with tired but alert brown eyes. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering, are you hungry?" Maya's first instinct was wariness. Men who approached homeless women at night rarely had good intentions. But something in this stranger's voice seemed genuine, almost vulnerable despite his expensive clothes. "I'm okay, thank you," she replied politely, though her stomach had been growling for hours. Marcus sat down on the bench nearby, maintaining a respectful distance. "I'm Marcus. What's your name?" "Maya," she said quietly, closing her book but keeping her finger to mark the page. "What brings you to read Austen on a cold night like this?" For the first time, Maya's face lit up slightly. "It takes me somewhere else, you know, somewhere warm and safe, where people fall in love for the right reasons." The irony wasn't lost on Marcus. They talked for nearly an hour. Marcus learned that Maya had been a student, dreaming of becoming a teacher before life derailed her plans. She spoke about her mother with such love and devotion that it brought tears to Marcus's eyes, a woman who had worked 3 jobs to keep them afloat until cancer took her away. Maya, for her part, found herself opening up to this stranger who listened without judgment. She didn't know he was wealthy. His clothes were nice, but plenty of people dressed well in the business district. What drew her in was his genuine interest in her thoughts and dreams, not pity for her circumstances. As the night grew colder, Marcus made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Maya, I want to try something, and I need you to trust me," he said, pulling out his black American Express card. Maya's eyes widened as she recognized the exclusive card she'd only heard about in movies. "I want you to take this card and buy whatever you need, whatever you want. There's no limit." Maya stared at the card as if it were a live snake. "I can't take this. I don't even know you. What if what? What if this is some kind of test? What if you're testing to see if I'm greedy or honest? What if you're one of those people who films poor people to make yourself feel better?" The pain in her voice revealed how many times she'd been treated as less than human since becoming homeless. Marcus felt his heart sink, realizing how his privilege had blinded him to the stripping experiences Maya must have endured. "I'm sorry, you're right to be suspicious. I wanted to help, but I went about it wrong." But something in Marcus's eyes made Maya reconsider. She'd become good at reading people. Since living on the streets, it was a survival skill. Despite the strangeness of his offer, she sensed no malice in him. "Why?" she asked simply. "Because sometimes we all need someone to believe in us," Marcus answered, his voice thick with emotion he didn't expect to feel. Maya took the card with trembling hands. "I'll pay you back. Somehow, someday, I'll pay back every penny." Just promise me one thing, Marcus said. Buy what your heart tells you to buy. Maya nodded and walked toward the 24-hour CVS across the street, Marcus following at a distance, his heart pounding with anticipation and something that felt dangerously like hope. Inside the store, Maya's first stop wasn't the food aisle or clothing section. She went straight to the pharmacy counter and bought the largest first aid kit they had, along with multiple bottles of pain medication, antibiotics, and fever reducers. Next, she filled a cart with blankets, hand warmers, waterproof tarps, and warm socks. Marcus watched in confusion as she completely bypassed anything for herself, instead loading up with canned goods, loaves of bread, peanut butter, and dozens of bottles of water. She added phone cards, feminine hygiene products, and baby formula to her growing collection. At the clothing rack, she grabbed multiple packs of men's and women's underwear in various sizes, along with cheap but warm jackets and gloves. The total came to $847.32. Maya signed the receipt with shaking hands and loaded everything into 2 shopping carts. "Where are we going?" Marcus asked as Maya pushed the carts out into the night. "To my family," Maya replied. She led him 6 blocks to an overpass where Marcus discovered an entire community of homeless individuals living in a makeshift camp. Maya moved through the group with the efficiency of a mother caring for her children, distributing supplies based on each person's specific needs. She gave the first aid supplies to James, a diabetic veteran whose infected foot had been worrying everyone. She handed the baby formula to Sarah, a teenage mother who'd been watering down her baby's bottles to make them last longer. The warm clothes went to the elderly and sick, the phone cards to those desperately trying to maintain contact with family members who might help them get back on their feet. Marcus stood frozen, watching this young woman who had nothing give everything to people who had even less. When someone asked Maya what she'd gotten for herself, she smiled and said, "I got to help my family. That's worth more than anything money can buy." But it was what happened next that truly broke Marcus's heart. After distributing everything, Maya approached Marcus with something in her hands, a small, leather-bound journal and a pen. "I saw you looked sad earlier," she said softly. "Sadder than someone with nice clothes and money should look. I thought maybe you might need this more than I needed food tonight. Sometimes writing down your thoughts helps when your heart is heavy." Marcus stared at the journal, purchased with his own money, given to him by someone who'd just given away nearly $800 worth of supplies to others while keeping nothing for herself. The gesture was so pure, so selfless, that tears began streaming down his face. "Maya," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Do you know who I am?" "You're Marcus," she said simply. "You're someone who was kind to me when you didn't have to be. You're someone who trusted me with something precious. That's all I need to know." In that moment, Marcus realized he'd been looking for love in all the wrong places. He'd been searching for someone who would love him despite his money, when what he really needed was someone who would love him without even knowing about his money at all. "I need to tell you something," Marcus said, taking Maya's hands in his. "I'm not just someone with a nice credit card. I'm very wealthy, extremely wealthy, and I've spent years having people pretend to care about me because of what I could give them." Maya's face showed confusion, then understanding, then something that looked like disappointment. So this was a test. It started that way, Marcus admitted, hating himself for the pain that flickered across her features. But it became something else entirely. "Maya, what you did tonight, the person you are, you've changed everything for me." Maya pulled her hands away, wrapping her arms around herself. "I don't want your money. I never wanted your money." "I know," Marcus said desperately. "That's exactly why." "No," Maya interrupted. "You don't understand. I don't want your money, and I don't want to be your project either. I don't want to be the poor girl who made the rich man feel better about himself." The rejection hit Marcus like a physical blow, but as he looked into Maya's eyes, he realized she was right to be angry. He'd deceived her, even if his intentions had evolved into something genuine. "You're absolutely right," he said quietly. "I'm sorry. I handled this all wrong, and you deserved better than my games and tests." Maya studied his face for a long moment. Around them, Her homeless family was settling in for the night, warmer and better fed than they'd been in months because of her selflessness. "The journal," she said finally. "Did you mean what you said about writing when your heart is heavy?" Marcus nodded. "Then write," Maya said. "Write about why you're really sad. Write about what you're really looking for. And when you figure out how to approach someone honestly, without games or tests, maybe we can try this conversation again." Maya turned and walked back to her cardboard mat, leaving Marcus standing alone with the journal and his shattered assumptions about love, wealth, and what really mattered in life. For the next 3 months, Marcus did exactly what Maya suggested. He wrote. He examined his life, his relationships, his fears, and his hopes. He volunteered at homeless shelters, not as a wealthy philanthropist making a show of charity, but anonymously, learning to see people as individuals rather than problems to be solved. He learned about the complex factors that led to homelessness, the bureaucratic barriers that kept people trapped, and the simple human dignity that poverty couldn't touch. He stopped looking for someone to complete him and started working on completing himself. When he finally approached Maya again, it was different. He came not as Marcus Whitmore the billionaire, but as Marcus the man who'd learned that love wasn't about what you could buy or give, but about who you chose to become. Maya was different too. She'd used the 3 months to get connected with social services, find temporary housing, and enroll in community college classes to pursue her teaching dream. She'd also started a small nonprofit organization to help homeless individuals navigate the system that had once seemed impenetrable to her. "I wrote," Marcus said, showing her the now full journal. "I wrote about a man who thought money could buy him love, and who learned that the only thing worth having is something that can't be purchased." Maya smiled, the first real smile Marcus had seen from her. "And what did you figure out? That I don't want to be with you because you're noble or pure, or because you passed some test." Marcus said, "I want to be with you because when I'm with you, I remember who I want to be. You make me want to be worthy of the person you saw in me that first night." Maya reached for his hand. "That works both ways, you know. You made me remember that I'm worth more than my circumstances. You helped me believe in myself again." 6 months later, Marcus proposed to Maya not with an expensive ring, but with a handwritten letter promising to love her for who she was, not what she did or didn't have. The ring came later, a simple band that Maya helped choose, bought not with unlimited wealth, but with money Marcus had earned working alongside her at the non-profit they now ran together. Their wedding was held in the community center where they'd first worked side by side, attended by homeless individuals who'd become family, wealthy donors who'd learned to see beyond stereotypes, and everyone in between who'd been touched by their story. Marcus learned that the greatest test of character isn't what someone does when given unlimited resources, but what they do when they have nothing left to give except themselves. Maya learned that wealth itself isn't evil, it's the heart behind it that matters. Together, they built something neither could have created alone, a love based on mutual respect, shared values, and the understanding that the best things in life aren't purchased with credit cards, but with courage, compassion, and the willingness to be vulnerable with another human being. The nonprofit they founded, Hearts Not Cards, became a nationwide organization helping homeless individuals not with handouts, but with hand-ups providing the tools, resources, and dignity needed to rebuild lives. They never filmed their work or publicized their personal story, understanding that real charity happens in the shadows, not in the spotlight. And sometimes, late at night, Marcus would still take out that leather journal Maya had given him and write about the woman who'd taught him that the richest people aren't those with the most money, but those who give the most of themselves. The credit card test had indeed broken Marcus's heart, but in breaking it, Maya had helped him rebuild it into something stronger, more genuine, and infinitely more capable of real love. What did you think of Marcus and Maya's journey? Have you ever had someone challenge your assumptions about what really matters in life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story inspired you, Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more stories that prove love isn't about what's in your wallet, but what's in your heart. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. And share this story with someone who needs to remember that true wealth is measured in kindness, not dollars.